Hey, I'm Andrea and this is The Direct Path. And today I'd like to share something on death. I know it's not a very exciting thing to speak about, but I think it's been one of these really misunderstood things in spirituality. I don't like that word so much, but let's just call it like that. If you've been a spiritual seeker, or if you've been in any spiritual path, I'm sure that you've heard many things. The This death thing, the death of self, the death of ego, but you don't exactly know what it refers to. And I think this is one of the most misunderstood things, and that by really understanding what this refers to, it may change your life completely. It is a total transformation that takes place when you really see what this refers to, and not as a conceptual thing, but as an experiential thing. Um, in order to explain this, I sometimes use the analogy um, of the eye. I think of awareness as an eye, and let's let's say that I ask you, which color do you see when you see, or which color your sight is? Because if I ask you which color your eyes are, you may say they are brown, they are blue, or black. And yeah, that's right from the other person's perspective. But from this side of my eyes, my eyes are colorless. If there is a quality that an eye need to have in order to function properly, is that it needs to be um, transparent. If you see a color, it's because if you see a color that filters what you're seeing, it's because something is not functioning properly. Or it's normal, for instance, that you hear, but it's normal that you don't hear your ear. If you hear your ear, it's because something might not be working well. So I like to think of awareness as this eye, which is colorless, which is transparent, which perceives all things, but it is not a thing itself. And I think that is what waking up, um, or awakening is. It is merely realizing that I am not an object, because ego is nothing else than awareness trying to objectify itself, becoming an object in order to have some sort of tangibility, to materialize itself, to become real in the world. Therefore, it becomes so important for me to be someone, to be important, to be special, to be unique. That's why there is this even compulsion to become something, to become someone. It's this need for objectifying myself. And awakening is realizing that I sort of perceive everything, but I am not myself an object. And when you realize this, there is a total psychological shift. It's of course, if you take this as a conceptual thing, if this is merely an exchange of doctrine, if you were uh, perhaps if you were an atheist, and then you became a Buddhist or a Christian, and now you've become I don't know, Now you believe in non-duality. I don't think this has nothing to do with a change of belief. This is uh, an actual experience that completely changes your perspective. But I don't I don't speak about perspective as an opinion about the world or as a point of view, but literally it's a psychological shift when you realize that you are not an object. So ego is basically awareness mistaken as as an object. So this death that has to happen in order to awaken, because if you take it merely as something conceptual, you will be just speaking about reality but not really experiencing it. So this death that happens is this realization that you are not an object. And it is pretty weird because you feel in the beginning very vulnerable, very, you need to grasp, we've been so used to objectify ourselves as a personality or as this body that we find it almost impossible not to want to preserve them, because living as an ego requires a tremendous amount of energy in order to preserve this identity, in order to preserve these this solidity. So when you realize that you are not a thing, that you are no thing, but it doesn't mean that you're nothing, that you don't exist, but you are consciousness. You are not the object that you've it's like a flashlight that it's illuminating an object. It's the flashlight that has confused itself with the object that it illuminates, and it thinks uh, mistakenly that it is the object that it illuminates and not that which illuminates the object, to put it like that. So this realization feels like a death because we've been used to almost every activity was destined to preserve this construction. So when we realize that we are no thing, it feels like losing your ground. It, it there is a sort of well, there is a great amount of fear in the beginning. Um, but then you discover that which you thought was terrible and horrible, that groundlessness becomes your ground, and you rest as awareness. You rest as this sort of mirror where everything is reflected in, but doesn't grasp anything. And that's why uh, the mind feels so vulnerable, feels so insecure in the beginning, because um, the mind is itself an activity of grasping, of securing itself, of securing this image. So there is this psychological shift, and it's completely normal to feel sort of lost. There is this sort of nostalgia of not identifying ourselves with anything, yet it is not a resistance of anything either. Think of awareness as well as this space where everything appears. As an ego, we tend to see awareness as encapsulated in the body. But actually, the reality is that the body appears in awareness. So there is a total shift of experiencing life And this is what death really is. It's this identification with with form, and of course it feels terrifying. That's why um, it's called a death. You know, it's not a change of a perspective. It's not a change of your point of view. It's not a change of opinion. It is actually uh, um, a psychological death, a psychological emptying, and then you really start living. You cannot be happy with living as an ego. There is no such thing as a happy ego. There is no such thing as an enlightened ego. You need to go through this psychological transformation in order to experience life, to experience reality. So, yeah, I think that this is what I wanted to share today. We will keep explaining more of this topic, I'm sure, because it's vast, but I think it's as easy as I can explain this. So take care, and if you want, leave your comments, or if you would like to talk about anything, just let me know or write to me. I also write now and then on Twitter, so you can find me there as well. So yeah, that's all for today. So let's keep in touch. Bye bye.